Hey everyone, so I wanted to do a video on commuting because a lot of my colleagues on the student team at the moment have been doing either vlogs, blogs, stories, Q&As and things on accommodation at Birmingham, and it's a really big topic, a hot topic, so I thought that I would also touch upon it. I can't contribute to the accommodation at Birmingham conversation, but I can contribute to what it's like to commuting, what it's like to commute to campus, because that's what I did for my first 2 years. I'm doing a year abroad at the moment, I'm in Canada, but then when I come back for my final year, 4th year, I will commute again. So yeah, just a bit of backstory first before we jump in. So yeah, personally I drive to campus, and I am going to touch on some positives and negatives and give you guys some tips and things to look out for and think about before you decide if you're going to commute or not. But yeah, just tell you a bit about how I commute and how it works for me first of all. So yes, I do drive. I drive a Citroen C1, so you know, it's kind of like low insurance because it's a small, it's just a 1 litre engine and things like that, so that's pretty good. It's pretty good on petrol and that kind of thing. So yeah, I drive, even though I would encourage people to use public transport as much as possible because obviously it's better for the environment. In a sense, me commuting via train or bus wouldn't make sense really, and probably wouldn't aid the environment because it takes me, on a good day, 30 to 35 minutes to drive to campus, a bit longer in traffic sometimes coming home, but yeah, so say 30 to 35 minutes, whereas my closest train station is a 20-minute drive away from me without traffic. So it kind of just makes sense to drive there for the extra 15 minutes. And if I was going to get a train, it's a half-an-hour train, then I'd have to walk to a different train station and get a second 10-minute train. So it just doesn't really make that much sense for me to do it. And in terms of buses, there's not really a bus route to Birmingham. It would take me 4 or 5, maybe even 6 buses to get there. So yeah, so it just makes no sense for me to drive, and that's what I've done. That's what I did, sorry, for the first 2 years. And what I will do when I get home. So, some positives and negatives. We'll start with that. Positives is that, you know, I have never lived at UAB, but now I've lived on a year abroad. I can relate a lot more to what it's like not having easy access to being at home, and you know, I miss my family a lot. I have a younger sister who I love dearly and just want to make the most of. So it's nice being able to come home and spend time with them and have that family unit still. I also have a dog who is 3 now, who is just still the biggest puppy at heart, and I just love him and want to spend as much time with him as I can. So yeah, it's also nice to not have to miss those family comforts whilst also getting your uni education. So that's one positive. Another positive is that, you know, because I have the freedom of driving, and I suppose on public transport you would too, it is still easy to catch up with friends from uni and friends from home. You have that good dynamic of having both of those options, which I really, really like. Number 3, I feel very much that I have a good separation between university and home life. So when I come home, because personally I choose to stay at university and do a lot of my work, so even if I only have class, say, I'm trying to think, last year in my second year I had class on a Friday, just 10 till 11. I had 1 lecture for an hour and that was it, but I would still go to my lecture, finish, and then stay on campus till maybe 3, so that I avoided the rush hour traffic home, but I got some work done. So I have a very good separation between uni and home life, which I really like. I have something in my eye, excuse me. So yeah, those are just some positives of it. Yeah, I feel, and even though a lot of people who go to uni and live in accommodation feel a lot of independence, I feel a lot of independence in commuting, obviously in a different kind of way, but yeah, like it does give you independence of, you know, that you're still traveling to and from uni and all that stuff, like you're still very much adulting, as it were. But yeah, so those are some positives. A couple of negatives. I mean, you know, I guess when people go to university, a lot of people go to uni at 18 straight out of college or sixth form, or maybe take a gap year, but most people will probably be at uni, I mean, in what I've experienced, to do undergrad before the age of 20, right? So, you know, it's kind of that age when you really are grasping for independence, and in the sense of living at home sometimes. You know, some people might not cope well with the commuting thing, in the sense of living at home with family and wanting more independence in like the living space situation. But yeah, I'm very lucky in that sense. I have a great like family communication system, so that hasn't been too much of an issue. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to going back and living back with my family again for another year before I graduate. So, but that can be one negative for some people. Another negative, the one thing that I've struggled the most with, is the travelling can be tiring. So even when like in first year, when some of my friends lived on the Vale, which is like a 20-minute walk, or even some of my friends lived in like Liberty Court and Liberty Gardens, I nearly forgot those names then, so long ago, and Queen Mary Hospital and things, which is a longer walk, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, if I remember rightly. The driving home and driving to uni can be tiring, like getting up early. Like some of my friends, if I had a 9 a.m. lecture, could roll out of bed at like 8:30 and still be at class on time, whereas I like leave the house at 7:15, 7:30 most days. So yeah, that can be tiring, and often another reason I stay at uni to do work is the drive home tends to take longer, so it can take me 45 minutes to get home sometimes. And by the time I've like sat in my car and like listened to the music getting home, by the time I get home, I just like want to eat dinner and chill out. So it could be a negative in the sense of like tiredness and getting work done. Just something to keep in mind. Other negatives. It could kind of falls into a negative, but also a tip. So we're gonna slide on over, here we go, to the tips section of this video too. Parking. Now, I haven't heard anything different since I've been in Canada. As it stands, if you live a 12-mile radius away from campus, you can apply for a parking permit, and now I do, so I have one, and essentially you can use it on 3 car parks, unless it's changed, and you pay £1 a day to park, which is pretty good considering that usually it's like £7 for a few hours. I'm not sure how much it is for a whole day, so it's a pretty good deal. And £1 a day, if you're not on campus every day too, isn't that bad. Like, I have been on campus 3 days a week and 4 days a week in the past, so yeah, so it's not that bad. You can get off-road parking, but it just is a bit more of a walk to uni, and maybe a bit less safe, I suppose. I've done that a few times, but less so in the winter when it's dark. I don't like walking like in the dark in the suburbs, like out of the way to get to my car. I usually park on the car parks. So yeah, 3 you can park on. You can park on the northeast multi-story car park, which is my favourite one. It's just really close and really convenient. It's right by Strathcona building, like it's just really close by. And then there are 2 like right by the Pritchett's Park accommodation. One is literally like in the midst of the accommodation, that's the furthest one away. It's closest to like the hospital and the medical school and things. And then there's one slightly closer but still closest to those things, and like a 5-10 minute walk into campus, which is fine. So yeah, so the access to the car parks is good, but however, so even in first year, when I had class at 12 and 1 p.m. some days, I didn't get that luxury in second year, but a few times I drove to uni like in plenty of time for those lectures and couldn't park. And on one occasion I actually had to just drive home, which when you're, you know, paying petrol and it's time out of your day and you're paying a lot of money for your lectures, it's really frustrating, like so frustrating. And it happened to me twice when I had to do that. So I learned my lesson very quickly, and I just get to the car parks for 8:30 every day, because you might be able to park if you arrive for like 9:30, but you're gonna struggle. So yeah, you're gonna have to get there early to park. And it has kind of worked out well because I'm very productive on campus, so I just get there early and do work. But yeah, just something to bear in mind. If you are going to drive, you are going to have to get there pretty early. And I imagine it might be an issue if you're driving to a train station too, because I know the train station car parks that are local to me fill up pretty quickly and don't have many spaces. So just something to bear in mind, like how easily you're going to be able to stay on campus if you are driving and things like that. So yeah, kind of a tip, get there early. And another tip would be, I wrote a blog on this, but I'm going to say it again. I always keep a spare like pair of clothes in my car, like in the boot. A couple of clothes usually, like one like more casual. So one more casual thing in case like there's a spontaneous meal or someone spontaneously like asks me over their house for like dinner or something, which happens quite a lot. Like a lot of uni things that happen can be quite spontaneous. And what's the outfit in case of going out for like drinks or anything, or like out to the club or whatever last minute. So yeah, it's just a good idea to have a couple of spare things in your car. In that sense, I always have an umbrella in the boot, umbrella in my car just in case it rains, because British weather, you never know, right? So yeah, just a few little tips there for commuting. I really do recommend it for anyone who is like looking to save money. Honestly, that's the main reason I chose to do it, because I loved UOB and I was like, let's save some. I just figured that I would save some student debt by commuting. And actually, because I've had the luxury and the good fortune to do a year abroad as well, so I have had that experience of living away from home to the most extreme, I suppose. I don't feel that commuting has made me miss out on any part of the uni experience. And before doing a year abroad, I was going to consider moving out next year maybe. But honestly, I'm really looking forward to going home and commuting again. Like, I really like it. It's a big part of my university experience. So yeah, I hope this video has been useful. Just some, you know, information on what it's like to commute, some things to consider. It might not be for everyone, but at least you have this now to look at and think about what's best for you. And yeah, do message me on my Instagram with any more questions. But thank you so much for watching and have a lovely day.